Hey everybody, welcome to another Purple Insider Extra from TCO Performance Center. Matthew Coller here along with Sam Ekstrom. Reminder, go find the full discussions that we have here from Vikings training camp. Wherever you get your podcast, just type in Purple Insider. All right, day one, official day one, Sam, a lot to talk about. The thing that stuck out to me the most, though, is just the status of players who are coming off of injuries, starting with Danielle Hunter, who was out there for most of the walkthrough portions, but he was not doing the live 11 on 11 reps, so clearly he's working into it. D.D. Westbrook as well, doing a little bit of work, not getting fully into it, and Bashaud Breeland was getting a little bit more, and so we see them coming along, but obviously Jalen Twyman is not a part of this right now, and a number of other players getting back to where they need to be in full health.
Yeah, caution seemed to be the name of the game. We've heard already that Michael Pierce is probably out for a couple weeks. He did do a little bit, though, in individuals, so that was good to see him wearing a helmet on occasion. Danielle Hunter being eased back into it, I guess, is a tad surprising. I think I expected him to be more active, and that also explains why he wasn't active in the one mini camp week where we saw the Vikings practice. But, in general, I think a lot of these guys are on track to participate soon. D.D. Westbrook coming off an ACL, that's something they're not going to rush. Breeland is coming off of shoulder surgery. So these are pretty serious issues that, are probably in the latter stages of being resolved. I guess if I'm worried about any one of them, it would be Pierce because it's a newer injury. But altogether, I think the Vikings are coming in a pretty healthy team.
And there's plenty of time for Danielle Hunter, Bashaud Breeland, D.D. Westbrook to get to 100%. In fact, they have a number of practices that are not even going to be in pads before they start getting into pads. I believe that's not even until August 1st that they get into pads. So there's going to be a few days until things really start to ramp themselves up. But today we did see Jake Browning as QB number 2, and then Nate Stanley and Kellen Mond were mixing in. And I think what that tells us is that what minicamp showed for the order of operations for quarterbacks is the case starting in training camp. Kellen Mond will have to beat Jake Browning if he wants to be the backup quarterback.
Yeah, I didn't get the sense that the offense was totally simpatico today. Usually the defense is ahead at this stage anyway, but I didn't really think Nate Stanley lit the world on fire. Kellen Mond wasn't great. He did have one good throw on the day, but it came after he got sacked because he held the ball too long in the pocket. So not a great day for the quarterbacks altogether, but Jake Browning was pretty clearly number 2. If he stays number 2 for the first 3-4 days of camp, I think that's pretty telling because that says that it's not a rotation. It means they legitimately think he is the backup.
Now, we talked with Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Eric Kendricks, and one of the biggest storylines is not super X's and O's, but just the fact that fans were back here at TCO Performance Center and going to be back for the preseason games, and they were out here, they were doing skull chants and things like that, and I think that it feels so much more like regular training camp, Sam, than it had before. It just with the feeling of a little extra energy, the music going. Last year it was just a morgue out there, and so the feeling being different I think is good for everybody.
Yeah, there's just the murmur of crowd noise. That's a good thing. The rap music, it all just creates the training camp atmosphere, even though the crowd, I think, was a little more modest today because of the heat and, the first day back, not doing a ton. I still think having the energy after a big play, like the bomb from Mond to Amir Smith-Marset, or when Danielle Hunter burned Brian O'Neill in a one-on-one drill, that's what training camp is all about. That's pretty cool stuff. So I enjoyed the atmosphere much more than last year, Matthew, and we didn't have to keep our voices down making snarky remarks to each other on the sideline.
Yeah, no, last year your voice would echo all throughout. Let's talk about, speaking of snarky remarks, the offensive line. Oli Udoh getting some reps, first team right guard, along with Dakota Dozier, Wyatt Davis on the second team. That's just where they begin, so nobody freak out. But I would also say what's interesting about this is that they have done this in years past where they put someone into a position maybe that we didn't expect or a little over their head just to see how they handle it. We saw that last year with Aviant Collins, and then they decided ultimately to move on with him. Do you think that Oli Udoh is a serious candidate for right guard?
No, I actually don't. I know a lot of people are going to be mad that I'm saying that, but this is the exact same thing we saw last year where the rookie, last year was Cleveland, this year it's Wyatt Davis, was with the second team, and then you had one guy with the first team and then the other guy with the third team alternating. But Udoh, to me, strikes me as someone who just can't settle on a position. And when you can't settle on a position, I wonder about like how skilled you are at any of them. This is year 3 for Oli Udoh. You know, like he is not a young player anymore. We're at the point where he doesn't have any more chances. And I think when you've got a rookie in Wyatt Davis, who to my eye has been, you know, kind of just as good, I think you got to go with him. So Udoh would have to be extraordinarily good and much better than Davis, I think, to win that job. And he could be on the roster. He's got position flexibility. That's something the team needs. But I don't think he wins that job ultimately.
I also saw a lot of different receivers getting a lot of different reps. I think that's going to be the case for the early days of camp, and then things will shape out as we go along. Was there anybody else on the field in terms of the order of players going out there that stuck out to you, aside from Jake Browning being QB2 and aside from the offensive line? Because I felt like it was mostly chalk for today for where we start, and then we'll see how things change as it goes along.
Yeah, not a ton of surprises. Nick Vigil, linebacker 3, I think we both expect that to be the case. DJ Wanham was in there for Daniil Hunter. Cameron Bynum was with the 2s, along with Miles Dorn, like we saw during OTAs. So, no, not a whole lot to note in that regard. But like you said, rotations can emerge as the days go by.
All right, and we'll wait for the kicking competition to get going when Riley Patterson comes off the pup, which Rick Spielman said should be pretty soon. All right, we'll be back to do another one of these tomorrow, every day from training camp. That is a good reason to subscribe to us here on YouTube, and we will catch you later at TCO Performance Center.